Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim. Yat kripatam hamande Shri Guru Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Mishnam. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances, all Lord Srila Prabhupada. So we were studying Upadesamrita, first verse. Vacho vegam manasa krodha vegam, jiho vegam uttara upastha vegam, etan vegan ya vishaheta dhira, sarvam apiman pratyumcha shishyat. Okay, so we will study one by one. Okay. So yesterday we discussed in detail about urge to speak, urge of the speech, and some examples, some pastimes from the Shastras also we discussed, and we mentioned some examples of urge to speak also, like karmis or materialistic people. They are talking unrelated things, means which is not connected to Krishna. That is an example of urge to speak. And another example could be for the jnanis or speculators. They also would like to speculate something or the other, which may be again not in line with the principles of bhakti. So that's another example. So one is karmis, one is jnanis. Jnanis when they speculate, or when they speculate something which is not in line with the principles of bhakti. Secondly, karmis or materialistic people who talks subjects which is not related to Krishna, which is related to material enjoyment only, or sense gratification. That is second example. Third example could be prajalpa, which we already discussed. Prajalpa means useless talk. We have seen that frog croaking, inviting its own death by a snake. So that's kind of prajalpa or useless talk. Fourth example, we already discussed, I believe, about mundane books, the books or magazines or whatever, which do not describe Krishna's glories, or which is not at all connected with Krishna. That is also an example of urge of speech. It is considered in the Srimad Bhagavatam first canto 5th chapter that those literatures which does not contain Krishna's Nama Rupa Guna Leela, it is like a place of pilgrimage for the crows. Crow. Crow, where crow will go. Crow will always go to the waste basket, or wherever there is garbage, it will go. Correct. So the mundane books which do not describe about Krishna, are compared to the place of pilgrimage for crows. Means it is useless and waste. And that's another example, mundane books. Then we also discuss about mauna, or self-imposed vow of silence to impress somebody due to some political reason. All these are not considered to be mauna, right? Because it should not be self-imposed. So actual mauna means we have to speak about only Krishna. That is the actual mauna, not just self-imposed vow of silence. And one more point we discussed, that the words that create distress for others is also an example of the urge of speech. Then we discuss about how to control the speech. First solution is Krishna Katha, by glorifying Krishna's Nama Rupa Guna Lila. Second, by the scriptures. The scriptures or the books describe Krishna's Nama Rupa Guna Lila. That is, opposite of mundane books. That's a solution for controlling the speech. So take shelter of spiritual books or scriptures. Take shelter of Harikatha, hearing and speaking. 3 is Krishna Seva. Krishna Seva means it could be any service, which could be any service to Krishna, which can also tolerate or which can also control the urge of speech, because we'll be busy in that service, right? So these are some of the points we discussed. Now we are going to today discuss about, I think, urge of mind. Little bit we discussed, but we have more explanation in the Srila Saraswati Thakur's explanation. We will see that later. Now we will go as per Prabhupada's purport. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. As for the urge of the tongue, we all experience that tongue wants to eat palatable dishes. Generally, we should not allow the tongue to eat according to its choice, but should control the tongue by supplying prasada. So this is another urge of tongue. Urge of tongue is what tongue wants to eat lot of or tasty food, basically. So because tongue, the taste buds are in the tongue, basically. So how we should control the tongue? The tongue wants to eat palatable dishes. So how to control it? By supplying prasada, by only taking prasada, but only taking the food offered to Krishna. The devotee's attitude is that he will eat only when Krishna gives him prasada. That should be our mood. We will only eat when after Krishna he eats and he is giving us as prasada. That only devotees will accept. And that is the way to control the urge of the tongue. So urge of the tongue can be controlled by having only prasada. One should take prasada at scheduled times and should not eat in restaurants or sweet meat shops simply to satisfy the whims of the tongue or belly. So this is Prabhupada's instruction to all of us. So we can offer prasadam, we can cook nice food at home, bhoga at home, and offer it to Krishna at home only. Then we can have prasada. However, it is not recommended for a sadhaka, for a practicing devotee, to eat in the restaurants or even sweetmeat shops. See, so simply to satisfy the whims of the tongue. If you feel something to eat, please make that at home and offer it to Krishna and have it. Though that is not the right attitude to do, in the sense we want to eat something, so we are making that, so we are offering to Krishna. That's not the actual mood of offering prasada, offering bhoga to Krishna. The actual mood is that whatever Krishna likes, or I want to feed, I want to give Krishna, then whatever he is giving us as prasada, we will take. That should be the actual proper mood. Not that I want today gulab jamun, so I will make gulab jamun and offer it to Krishna. It's like Krishna, we are considering Krishna to be a machine wherein we give the bhoga and we get output as prasada. It's like a machine. We put the card, ATM card in the machine, we get money. Likewise, Krishna is like, we consider Krishna to be a karma free machine which converts karma free food to karma food with karma to karma free food. That's not the purpose. It should be offered with love. So anyway, but it is better than to go to restaurants and eating. If we stick to the principle of taking only prasada, the urges of the belly and the tongue can be controlled. So both the things. If we stick to the principle of taking only prasada, the urges of tongue means tongue wants tasty food. How about belly? Belly wants more quantity. So both are connected actually. Tongue and belly is connected. Even tongue, belly, and genitals, three of them are connected. It's like in a straight line. So if you control, Prabhupada mentions that in the next paragraph. If you control the food, if you control the tongue, automatically the belly also will be under control, genitals also will be under control. He mentions that here. In a similar manner, the urges of the genitals, the sex impulse, can be controlled when not used unnecessarily. Okay, that is, he'll be speaking later, how the connection in a straight line. However, here Prabhupada mentions about, we already discussed about sticking only to prasada, which can control the urge of belly also. Now coming to the urge of genitals, he says the genitals should be used to beget a Krishna conscious child. Otherwise, they should not be used. Very clear. This is Shastric injunction. This is the Shastric injunction. We have got that sex impulse or ability or whatever is not for our enjoyment. It's not meant for enjoyment actually. It is meant for begetting a Krishna conscious child. And if we are using that to get a Krishna conscious child or a devotee child, then that becomes a service to Krishna. That particular activity becomes a service to Krishna. Why? Why it becomes a service? Because Krishna wanted all the jivas to be back to the spiritual world. So we are giving an opportunity for a soul who has already done bhakti in the past life, and we are inviting such a soul as our son or daughter, and we are giving them an opportunity to practice bhakti, giving all facilities and atmosphere and conducive situation, atmosphere in the home, and inspiring the children to practice bhakti, then we are helping that soul to go back to Godhead. So that becomes a service. So that's the right way of using our using the sex impulse also. The Krishna consciousness movement encourages marriage not for the satisfaction of the genitals, but for begetting of Krishna conscious children. This is very clear. The purpose of marriage is actually, of course, begetting a children is part of the life. So that is actually it should be actually service to Krishna if we use that in properly in the service of Krishna. Otherwise, it is simply sense gratification. As soon as the children are little grown up, they are sent to our Gurukul school. See, so Prabhupada gives an example in of Krishna, the devotees who are getting married in the ISKCON or Hare Krishna movement. Krishna conscious movement means our International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So they beget children, Krishna conscious children. As soon as the children are little grown up, they are sent to our Gurukula school, where they are trained to become fully Krishna conscious devotees. So there are many Gurukul schools connected to the temples. So there are many devotees, children also studying there. So many such Krishna conscious children, Prabhupada says, this is very important. Many such Krishna conscious children are required, and one who is capable of bringing forth Krishna conscious offspring is allowed to utilize his genitals, otherwise not. This is the actual purpose of uh, giving that option for all of us by Krishna. So when one is fully practiced in the methods of Krishna conscious control, he can become qualified to become a spiritual master. So Prabhupada give a glimpse of all the 6 urges now. Correct? Vacho Vegam, Manasa Vegam, Krodha Vegam, Jihva Vegam, Uttara Vegam, Upasta Vegam. Now he's saying that one who can control all the urges by practicing bhakti, by the methods of Krishna conscious. If he says Krishna conscious control, basically means by practicing bhakti, all urges will be controlled, and then that person will become qualified to a bona fide spiritual master. So this is not only for not these 6 things what mentioned by Srila Rupa Goswami is not only applicable for becoming a spiritual master or some guru. No, it is required for all sadhakas. Sadhakas, we all of us required. This is for even for sadhaka, not only for a person who is in the position or going to take up the position of a spiritual master. Not only for them, it is for each and every one of us. Now, here from this paragraph onwards, Srila Saraswati Thakur's explanation starts. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur is our Srila Prabhupada's spiritual master. He has written Anuvritti. He has written explanation or commentary on Upadesamrita of Srila Rupa Goswami. So let's see what he says. In his Anuvritti explanation of Upadesamrita, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur writes that our material identification creates three kinds of urges. So there are three kinds of, he is categorizing the urges into three. The six he is categorizing into three. In fact, the six is, it's a full, the three is expanded into six basically. So he's bringing the six into three now. Let's see. One is urge to speak. Second is urge or demands of the mind. Second. Three, demands of body. So in the body, all other four items are included. That's how it becomes, six. Yeah. When a living entity falls victim to these three types of urges, his life becomes inauspicious. So when we become victim of these urges, what will happen? Our life will become inauspicious. One who practices resisting these demands or urges is called tapasvi, or one who practices austerities. So who is called as tapasvi? One who controls the urges, control the senses. Tapasya means austerity. Tapasvi means one who practices austerities. By such tapasya, one can overcome victimization by the material energy, the external potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, material energy is considered to be Krishna's internal potency or external potency. Who can say?
External. External.
Yeah. So, I hope all of you remember we discussed this, that there are three energies: the internal potency, internal energy, the external energy, and marginal energy. Anybody remembers? Andaranga Shakti, Bahiranga Shakti, and Tatastha Shakti. We discussed this in one of the class. Andaranga Shakti is Krishna's internal potency. Bahiranga Shakti is Krishna's external potency, which is Maya. And internal potency is the spiritual potency. And material energy is the external potency, or Bahiranga Shakti. And marginal potency is Jiva Tattvas, Jivatmas, like all of us. So we have also discussed in one of the class that we are Tatastha. Tatastha means we can be, Tata means what? Tat means what? The bank. So bank of an ocean or a beach or a lake which we can take, or river. So Tata mean the bank. So bank sometimes will be covered with water or sometimes not. It will be, so if you're standing on the bank, sometimes our legs will become wet or sometimes not also. So likewise, Jiva can either take the side of Maya or Krishna's external energy, or he can take the sides of Krishna's internal potency, this Andaranga Shakti. So we have two choices. Now all of us conditioned souls, our situation is that we have taken the shelter of, we have taken the side of Maya or Krishna's external potency. That is why we are in this material world. So what we have to do is that from this shelter, we have to go to the shelter of Krishna's internal potency. Then we will be, for that process of going to, or process of bringing closer, or dragging towards or going towards the internal potency is what we are doing now, spiritual practices. So finally, when we become qualified, we will be part of the spiritual world. The spiritual world exists in Krishna's, with Krishna's external, not external potency, internal potency. Material world is existing with by the Krishna's external potency. That is what the Bhagavad Gita says. Maya dekshena prakriti suyate sacharacharam. In my direction, in my supervision, the entire cosmic manifestation works, he says. So tapasvi or tapasya or austerity, we can by tapasya or austerity, one can overcome the victimization of the material energy. That's the point Srila Prabhupada is saying. Material energy is external potency, external energy. So this is what we discuss now also. Now he gives some more explanation of urge to speak. Let's see. When we refer to the urge to speak, we refer to useless talking, such as that of impersonal Mayavadi philosophers or of persons engaged in the fruitive activities, technically called karma kanda, or of materialistic people who simply wants to enjoy life without restriction. So already we discussed today in the beginning the same thing, that Prabhupada says here that urge to speak means any useless talk which is devoid of Krishna or Krishna consciousness. That is called as useless talking. That is referring to urge to speak. And impersonal Mayavadi, we know who are Mayavadis, Mayavadi philosophers, their thoughts, their philosophical conclusions, we are aware. So that kind of talks also considered to be useless talks, because it's not concluding to the absolute uh, truth, basically, correct? It's not giving us the proper conclusion. It is a misunderstanding, basically, or you can say misconception. Okay. Now, second category, one is Mayavadi philosophers, Prabhupada says. Secondly is Karmakandis. Karmakandas or Karmakandis or Karmis, in simple words, we can say Karmis means the materialistic people who always wants to enjoy the life. With just to the purpose of life, they say it is to enjoy senses without any restriction. So these are considered to be urge to speak. All such talks or literatures are practical exhibitions of the urge to speak. We already discussed that. Any books or magazines, literatures, which is coming in this line is also considered to be an example of urge to speak, because people are dumping their own ideas, their own urge to speak, uh, and in through the books or writings, and which is completely materialistic and no connection with Krishna. So this is what is being mentioned. So many people are talking nonsensically and writing volumes of useless books, and all this is the result of urge to speak. So that's what we discuss now. It's basically urge, that person has so much urge to speak, and he's putting everything in writing, and which becomes some series of books, useless books, which is completely devoid of Krishna. To counteract this tendency, we have to divert our talking to the subject of Krishna. This is explained in 1, 5, 10, and 11. So how to counteract this tendency? We have to divert our talking to subject of Krishna. We should speak about Krishna. We already discussed in the beginning also how to control the sense speech is by speaking Krishna Katha, or hearing and speaking, discussing Krishna Katha. That is how we can control the urge to speak. न यद्वचश्चित्रपदं हरेर्यशो जगत्पवित्रं प्रगृणीत कर्हिचित् तद्वायसं तीर्थमुशन्ति मानस न यत्र हंसा निरमन्ति उशिक्षयः. This is from Srimad Bhagavatam. Those words which do not describe the glories of the Lord, who alone can satisfy the atmosphere of the whole universe. So the description or the words which are describing the Lord, it can sanctify the entire atmosphere of the universe. Not only this universe, the entire material world are considered to be saintly, are considered by saintly persons to be like unto a pilgrimage of crows. So, which the words which do not describe the words of the Lord is considered to be the place for the pilgrimage of crows. We already discussed that, right? Pilgrimage of crows means what? The crows wants to go for pilgrimage. Where they go? They like to go to garbage box. That is their pilgrimage place. So the words which do not describe Krishna, glories of Krishna, Krishna's Nama, Rupa, Guna, Leela, then that is simply a place of pilgrimage for crows. Since all perfect persons are inhabitants of the transcendental abode, they do not derive any pleasure there. So opposite of that, so those who are interested in materialistic thing, they will be going behind this, mundane words, which is like a pilgrimage for crows. But the perfected persons or the devotees, they are not interested in such pleasure. That's what they do not derive any kind of pleasure there. Means they do not find any kind of pleasure in the mundane words or mundane books or whatever. Next verse. This is 10 and 11, two verses. Takvag tadvag visargo janadaga viplavo yasmin pratishlogam abhattavattyapi namani anantasya yashongitani yad shrunvandi gayandi granandi sadavaha. On the other hand, that literature, this is this connection to the previous verse, the next sloka of Bhagavatam. On the other hand, that literature which is full of descriptions of the transcendental glories of the name, fame, form, pastimes, etc. of the unlimited Supreme Lord is a different creation, full of transcendental words, directed toward bringing about a revolution in the impious lives of the world's of this world's misdirected civilization. So here the Bhagavatam says the words, on the other hand, means not the mundane. The mundane books are called as place of pilgrimage for the crows. On the other hand, opposite to that, those literature which describes about Krishna's Nama Rupa Guna Leela is can bring revolution in the impious lives of the people of this world. Like all of us, like all of us, how we are sitting today here and trying to study every week, every day we are trying to read scriptures, correct? Because this scriptures includes or has the content subject matter is Krishna's name, fame, form, pastimes, Nama, Rupa, Guna, Leela. And impious people like all of us, people like all of us, we this is a torchlight for all of us. It is bringing a revolution in our life. We are all considered to be the misdirected people, misdirected civilization. We are part of it because the entire world is like that. The entire world is misdirected, not completely away from the scriptural injunctions, doing all the nonsense, not at all following scriptures. So that is called as misdirected civilization. And the scriptures are bringing a new life to all of us, giving a new life to all of us. It is becoming a revolution in our lives. Hmm? Such transcendental literatures, even though imperfectly composed, are heard, sung, and accepted by purified men who are thoroughly honest. So, such transcendental literature or scriptures, even though imperfectly composed, means what? Doesn't mean that the content is wrong or the content is imperfect. No. The meaning is that sometimes, in the if you see from the Sanskrit point of view, or sometimes there will be some uh, you know in terms of poetry or something, in terms of meter, or it could be chanted in a particular way, it can be chanted in a different way. I mean, there is a proper way of reciting the verses also. And we all of us, we don't have any um, capability or understanding or knowledge to about the shastras Sanskrit or Sanskrit's chandas, or maybe some poetry or from meters and all. So the maybe we are chanting in a different way, reciting in a different way, or even the some of the verses also, it could be like some of the literatures. We are not talking about all the uh, basically Srimad Bhagavatam or any other scriptures. However, in case it's not that it is there is some imperfection in that literatures. There is no imperfection in the content. The content is perfect, 100% perfect. Maybe in terms of Sanskrit or in terms of some poetry, if there is some, if at all, it is not necessary, if at all there is an imperfection also, It is not there, but if it is there, that's the point. still, still that is considered to be transcendental or spiritual, because that includes the subject matter of Krishna. That includes the Krishna's Nama Rupa Guna Lila, nothing else. And such literatures, spiritual or transcendental literatures, are heard, sung, and accepted by purified men. Purified men means those pure devotees. The pure devotees are always hearing, singing, and completely accepted that those literatures. So means that's their life. So the conclusion is that only when we talk about devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead can we refrain from useless nonsensical talk. We should always endeavor to use our speaking power solely for the purpose of realizing Krishna consciousness. So how we can control? So again, Prabhupada is giving a solution or concluding by saying that the conclusion is that when we talk about devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead only, then only we can refrain from the useless talks. And he says we should endeavor to use our speaking power solely for the purpose of realizing Krishna consciousness. So we have to use our speaking power for speaking about Krishna, for glorifying Krishna, for chanting Krishna's name, for speaking Harikatha, to discuss Harikatha, to ask questions in related to the subject, and discuss, speaking about Krishnas and discussing among devotees, and even glorifying Vaishnavas. We have to use this tongue for that. That is the proper way of using the tongue. Okay. I think further uh, explanation is basically for the flickering mind, and yeah, because this is again another, I mentioned, as I mentioned to you, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj's explanation is that explanation is what we are discussing now. So we discussed today from that section about the urge of speech. Tomorrow we'll discuss the flickering mind. So there is some, and also Krodha. So mind and Krodha is very well connected. So we will see that tomorrow. Okay, I'm stopping here because it takes some time also to discuss one by one. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gurudev ki jai, Shri Srila Rupa Goswami ki jai, Shri Upadesamrita ki jai. Nitai Gaura Prem. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.